The tight end position, as always, is crazy. No one is solidified, and especially in the fantasy playoffs as we go into week 16, which is technically the semifinals. If you made it, you made it. And if you haven't, we appreciate you. We hope to see you next year, and we hope that you continue to watch these videos and just get insight. Maybe there's one league, maybe you're living vicarious through your friend's league, whatever the case may be. But as always, we like to bring you our must-start sit tight end positions of each and every week, especially going into week 16. So let me give you my top 4 must-sit tight ends and my 2 must-sit tight ends going into week 16. Let's get straight into it. And at number 1, we have K. Dalton versus the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals currently give up the most fantasy points to the tight end position. I know it's not sexy. Tom Brady has been letting us down all year long. You might not even see him on this team, which is crazy. But K. Dalton hasn't been doing much this past week. Only caught one pass, 3 fantasy points. It was nothing crazy. But against a team who just gave up, a touchdown to the tight end position, which it wasn't Greg Dulcich who they played versus the Denver Broncos. It's Eric Tomlinson. He caught 3 out of 3 in a touchdown for 11 fantasy points. If Cade can do that, and I think that would be fantastic for your fantasy playoffs. So if you have Cade and you need a tight end help, start him with confidence. By the way, I just want to say there's no tight end in fantasy playoffs or in the fantasy world that is more consistent than Travis Kelce and or Mark Andrews. Kind of, right? Mark Andrews has been up and down, but right now the tight end position is so up and down. So I want to keep that in mind and give you guys a reminder of all these tight ends has been so up and down each and every year. So we're only doing our best here in the tight end position. My second must-start tight end is Pat the Dragon versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders currently give up the 8th most fantasy points to the tight end position. Pat the Dragon didn't get a catch this past week against the Carolina Panthers. That's because they were, working the ball everywhere else with Deontay and Pickens, Najee in the backfield. But Pat the Dragon, usually when he does get opportunity, he gets it, right? When it's open, it's open. And Kenny Pickett should be coming back next week if he does clear concussion protocol. And if that does happen, best believe Pat the Dragon is going to be getting opportunity. These past 2 weeks, week 13 and 14, 10 fantasy points, caught 3 out of 5. Week 14, 12 fantasy points, caught 3 out of 6 in a touchdown. That is with Kenny Pickett in the game, not Mitch Trubisky. So Pat the Dragon is kind of Mitch Trubisky's safety blanket in the middle of the field. See him and believe that Kenny Pickett is going to come back and start targeting Pat the Dragon when he does come back. So start Pat the Dragon with confidence. My third must-start tight end this week is Dawson Knox versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears currently give the 3rd fewest points to the tight end position, which is crazy. But Dawson Knox and Josh Allen have been doing their thing these past 2 weeks. He's been getting him the ball, right, against the Jets, who has a tough defense. Caught 4 out of 7 targets and a touchdown for 14 points. These past week against Miami, who also has a pretty good defense, caught 6 out of 8 targets and a touchdown for 21 fantasy points. I know the Bears give the 3rd fewest, but I do believe Dawson Knox could be another safety blanket for him, especially with Cole Beasley coming back and really opening up the field. Dawson Knox is getting a lot more opportunity here, it feels like now. At least, we only saw that in week 15 against Miami, right? Because he wasn't there against the Jets. But Dawson Knox just feels very, very comfortable to be starting right now against the fantasy playoffs. So start him in week 16 going with some confidence. And my last must-start tight end this week is TJ Hawkinson versus my beloved New York Giants. My Giants currently give the 10th most fantasy points to the tight end position. And our weakness is our linebackers, and TJ Hawkinson has the speed and the ability to get on those crossing routes here. And as a Giants fan, I would feel really confident if I had TJ Hawkinson as a fantasy owner, right? So if you do have TJ Hawkinson, I will be starting him with confidence. This past week against Indy, caught 3 out of 9 targets, only 8.3 fantasy points. Imagine if he caught those 9 targets. He has been getting peppered with targets since he got traded to this team. And I'm loving what we're seeing, and I'm loving how that's happening. So I will be starting TJ Hawkinson with confidence going into week 16. And as always, we have to bring you our must-sit tight ends this week, and David Njoku versus the New Orleans Saints. The Saints currently give the fewest fantasy points to the tight end position, even though Njoku has been doing his thing. But the Saints have a really tough defense, and Deshaun Watson right now is loving spreading the ball out. I love David Njoku, and he had a good run, especially with Jacoby Myers. Not saying he's done Not saying he's not going to be this guy anymore with Deshaun Watson, but right now, David Njoku is not a guy that I feel really confident in starting, especially against a defense that currently give up the fewest points to the tight end position. So if you do have other options, I will be looking at those. And my second must-sit tight end this week, another guy that's really on the edge. You might have to start him because you have no one else, is Dalton Schultz versus the Eagles. The Eagles currently give the 9th fewest points to the fantasy tight end. And Dalton Schultz has been kind of up and down these past couple weeks. This past game, he only caught 2 out of 4 targets, only 3 fantasy points. Week 14, he went up. He went off against the Houston Texans because he had 14 points. Week 13, he had 5 points. He's been going up and down. 17-5, 19-5, 14-3. Maybe Philly is the game where he goes up. He gets to 11, 12, 13 points, but you can't trust that right now. So if you do have other options, I would be looking at that. But I understand if you had to start Dalton Schultz and or David Njoku in these scenarios. Guys, we appreciate each and every one of you. I said this in the last video. Make sure you go show some love. Go send a message to Zach and say, hey, we appreciate you for everything that you've been doing and holding it down with these videos. And hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Make sure you spend time with your family. Whatever you do in your family, we appreciate you, each and every one of you. And good luck going into week 16.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLand fam.